Hello, everyone. After my husband died, I spent many agonizing hours begging the universe to bring him back. I had so much trust in the kindness of the universe, and I couldn't get my head around how this could happen to one who was so lighthearted and loved life so much. I guess on some level, I thought, I kind of felt we were protected somehow, sort of favored by divinity for gifting us with such a happy life that we were so grateful for. The reason behind this conviction was that many years before, I had experienced what many call a dark night of the soul, where my entire world fell apart and I felt betrayed and alone. Only later to discover, through the suffering, my authentic self, the true essence of my being. From the time of that reawakening, I felt sort of invincible, safe, as if I had been given a sort of magical guide to the universe, a position in space where all is known and all the answers lie, where I could explore anything I was curious about, and the knowledge was just somehow available. It would come in downloads, faster than I could even get the questions out. I felt deeply loved and connected to the heart of God, and trusted this would be my life from then on. And it's not that there weren't disappointments and hardships, like in any life, but I trusted this higher consciousness. We had a magical life. Yet, when my husband became ill, even though he assured me he was following his life plan and all was well, I felt dumbfounded, stunned. Why would I have discovered my other half only to have him jerked away from me because of some stupid plan? It pulled the proverbial rug out from under me, and nothing made sense anymore. How could I continue in a world where everything that brought sanity, balance, equilibrium had been stolen from me? I was so angry at my friendly universe that in my desperation, I turned my hopes from the spiritual to the scientific, looking for the inspiration I once found in the theoretical physics course I had taken through Stanford University several years back. I remembered how stimulating it was to discover within this science the quantum nature of reality, an undivided wholeness, a universal creative conscious energy possessing all of the attributes of the source, God, and responsible for everything that has ever existed or would ever exist. And I remembered how perfectly this all went along with the knowledge I was receiving. So in my pain, I wrapped up all of my hopes into one concept referred to as retrocausality, or backwards causation, in which an effect precedes its cause. So a later circumstance affects an earlier one. The effect can happen before the cause. It means that you have power over the facts of the past and the future. So I desperately hoped that through this principle, I could use consciousness to go back into the past and change the circumstance leading up to my husband's demise. I had learned through that physics course that some of the greatest minds on earth perceived this to be possible and happening as a matter of course through intent. It's like time travel, where one can return to an event and delay it or change it for another outcome. So, this is exactly what I did. I went into meditation and with my conscious mind went back into that circumstance that I was pretty sure had been the cause of his eventual death and changed it. I saw him standing at the crossroads of choice and filled his body with strength and healing light and all of the love I could find in my heart and soul. I held this vision and watched as a vitality surged through him, and I saw him making a different choice, one that I strongly felt would alter his destiny. I continued to use my concentrated, focused creativity to watch him turn around and leave that detrimental position he had once chosen and make a new choice, one based on loyalty and love and inspiration. I continued to watch our future unfold through this alternative decision and all the joys and physical health it produced. I left that meditation, that life, that timeline, in a state of bliss, with all the confidence that that future was ours. So, how can this be possible? And did I ever really even believe it was? Well, I learned long ago that imagination creates everything. Any thing, object, or any incident was first imagined before it became that thing, whether a chair or a car or a set of conditions or an occurrence. It first began as a thought, an idea flowing forth from a conscious mind, created that chair into form, or an event, or a war, or a marriage could not happen unless imagined into being by those who chose to see it through their intent and visualize it, whatever their objective. Researching further this method of backwards causation, I found it had its own, what I would call, spiritual perimeters, which allowed for some tweaking, but not for the full result I was hoping for, my husband standing before me in perfect health. Nevertheless, by applying this principle to the circumstance that I felt were the catalyst to his illness, my life was very much changed through this purposeful directing of my concentrated attention toward a more compassionate and loving reconstruction of those details and events that I believed to be the cause of his disease. So, did it work? On the physical level, not so much. On the spiritual level, very much. I have since discovered much about this principle, not only through the scientific standard, but through the metaphysical exercise of directing a loving, concentrated thought toward a past event or circumstance, therefore intentionally raising the frequency that it once held into a higher, more positive reality, similar to what some might call shadow work, where using imagination, you go back into an unfavorable event and used focused thought to redo the event and change it into what you wished would have happened then and what is most desired now. Okay, so what part does the brain play in all of this? Well, the brain is a receiver, an antenna, allowing us the ability of mental time travel, remembering something that happened in the past, as well as visualizing something that will happen in the future. And this is the most important thing. The brain receives and converts quantum information without distinguishing between past and future. So, you see, this would mean that recall and imagination can be interchanged, transposed. Whether using memory to return to a past event or using imagination to create changes within that event, the brain cannot judge between this memory as genuine or made up. They are both real to the receiver, to the brain. And, another significant additional qualification here is that by going back into a former event and affecting it, a new parallel copy of the universe with a different past has been created. This is why time travel doesn't work quite the way the science fiction movies often present it to, because anytime something alters the past, a new universe is created. Therefore, although the event has been changed, the original cause is still preserved within the timeline. So the change affects only the reality of the consciousness and timeline of the one who performed the effect. So what we're talking about here is what is known in the scientific world as the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics, which states that there are parallel worlds that exist at the same space and time as our own, that there is no wave function collapse, which means that all possible outcomes of a measurement or observation are physically realized in some world or universe. So let's say you made a pivotal decision in your life that you have since come to regret. Maybe you once had a choice whether to take a job in, let's say, Switzerland, and move there, or to stay in your current job in, let's say, California. At the time, you made the safe choice and stayed in California. However, you now feel that this has not given you the life you believe you could have had in Switzerland. If you were to now go back into that event in your memory and make the choice you wish you had made then, does this change the event? Yes, it does change it, because reality is flooded by consciousness. And by making this new choice, you not only have altered your own path, but by using your conscious, focused attention to imagine this new life in Switzerland, a split occurs in the universe to accommodate that choice, in which in one universe you stayed with the original choice, and in the other universe you made a different choice. Now, does this mean that suddenly you pop into the universe of the new choice and will live the life you would have lived based on that alternate choice? Okay, if this wasn't already weird enough, one version of you took that job in Switzerland, and the other you is the you that you're familiar with as your current life. So, why aren't you now sipping on a Rivella while strolling down the Rue de la Croix? Because although your attention was able to cause a new effect, you remain in the body and life path you previously set into motion. And that script has been written and the movie filmed. And with perhaps a couple of free will forks in the road, you will carry out those choices that you planned, which created a sort of map that you agreed to follow. This life is where your consciousness would be focused throughout this lifetime. There is another physical body, a parallel copy of you, living that other life, that other choice. And within this many worlds reality, that other self is now living out that Switzerland lifetime. So, this may sound odd, but just knowing there's a parallel universe out there where my husband and I are both still together, alive and vital, brings me such confidence and joy and a feeling that anything is possible. That with a high frequency and a light heart, miracles can happen. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.